Hakadosh Boker Or Shavua Tov Masechet Gittin Daf Yutet Amud Aleph 19a1 says the Mishnah Bakol Kotvim on any type with any type of samamanim, any type that you could write a get. Bidyo with ink, besam, which is a type of ink which is made out of like afrat matechet, which is made out of like a plum from the lead. Yeah, besikra, which is like a red ink. Humus, which is sraf ilan, kankantum, which is like a black type of a thing that they use usually to dye the skins. Uvchol davar shu shel kaima, or anything which is going to be davar shel kaima. En kotvim, but you cannot write lo b'mashkin, not with any types of liquids, whether it's going to be wine or milk, lo b'meperot, not with fruit juices, lo b'chol davar shel mitkayim, or anything which is not going to be mitkayim. Ala kol kotvim, so that was to do with what can you write it, which means the ink, right, or ink well and all the other things. Now we're going to speak about what do you write on. So ala kol kotvim, you can write on anything. Ala aleh shel zait, even on an olive tree, you know, they have the leaves. Yeah, the leaves. Yeah, ve'al keren shel para, or on a horn. Yeah, on the horn of an animal, of a para. Noten la et para, give her the entire para. Al yad shel eved, on the hand of an eved. Noten la et eved, give her the eved. Rabbi Yosef Galilei omer, en kotvin al lo al davar sheish bo ruach chaim v'lo al ha'ocholim. He says no, you cannot write on anything which has ruach chaim. So, for example, on the keren or on the hand of the eved, it doesn't help because they're live, right? Or in any type of a food, you cannot write on any type of a food. There's the Gemara. Dio is diuta. Sam is sama. Sikra, right? So it's called sama or sikra. Amar Ravachana sekarta shema, right? That's the name. Kumus is kuma. Kankantum Amar Ravachana, right? In the name of Shemuel, charta de ush chefe. There's some amanim which they use for na'alain. They use, like, you know, to blacken the shoes, right? To paint the shoes. Fine. Says the Gemara. What does it mean now? So you're allowed to do it with anything which is going to be mitkayim. Any type of an ink which is going to be mitkayim. Latuya mai. Latuya had the Tani Reb Chanina ketavo b'mei tadia, with waters of gishamim, which they go on meaning rainwater, which goes on the roof, and they come and it becomes like reddish because of the roofs of the houses. V'afza or me'afatzim, it's going to be kosher. So Tani Reb Chia says ketavo be'avar. Avar is oferet with lead, bishchor with pechamim like coals, or shichor, which is also another type of a black ink. It's going to be kosher as well. So itman, it was stated. Amavid dio al gabe sikra b'Shabbat. Imagine right now you're going to put the dio on top of tseva adom b'Shabbat, right? Are you going to be chayav or not? Which means I already have written. Let's say I've written Masechet Gittin in red ink. I come and I take a black ink, and on top of Masechet Gittin, I write Masechet Gittin. Am I chayav? It was already written there on Shabbat. Am I chayav or not? Right? Rabbi Yochanan, V'resh Lakish, De'amni Tarvayu chayav. He said you're going to be chayav. Why? Two chataot, right? On two different tavom melachot. Achat mishum kotev, ve'achat mishum mochek. One of them is because of kotev, and one of them is a mochek. Meaning, first of all, I'm writing Masechet Gittin, but when I'm writing Masechet Gittin, I'm erasing the old one. Because before it was written Masechet Gittin in red. Now there's not written Masechet Gittin in red. I'm chayav two chataot, one for writing and one for erasing. Dio al gabe dio, sikra al gabe sikra. However, though, if you write dio on dio or sikra on sikra, right? Patur, you're patur. Why? You didn't do anything. You weren't kotev and you weren't mochek. You were mochek because it was already written in the red on red or black on black. So you didn't erase anything and you didn't write anything. It's all there. Okay, sikra al gabe dio. But what happens if you have the red ink on top of black ink? Amrila, some people say chayav, amrila patur, some people say patur. Amrila chayav, some people say chayav because it's considered mochek, which means that you're erasing the first letters, but you're not chayav on kotev because at the end of the day, it's not yoter nikar, right? Than beforehand. The amrila patur, some people say patur because it's mekalkel. You're making it worse. Meaning at the end of the day, you're making this worse and better. So in fact, you're making worse. That's when mekalkel is patur of al-asur, but it's not chayav. Okay, until you were clear? Okay. So Ba'min Resh Lakish ben Rabbi Yochanan asked Resh Lakish ben Rabbi Yochanan, Edim she'en yodim lachtom, ma'u shichtavu lahem besikra v'yachtemu ktav elyon, right? Ktav or eno ktav, which means this. Imagine right now you have witnesses that they don't know how to sign. So the halacha is can they come and write, right? Can they come and they write with sikra, with the red ink, and then you tell the edim, listen, sign on top of it, right, with black ink. Are you going to tell me the ktav elyon, which is dio on top of sikra, is that considered a ktav or not considered a ktav? Okay, Elmaleh tells him, en oktav, it's not considered a ktav, which means dio on top of sikra is not considered a ktav, and therefore they did not sign the get. So now here it says, yeah, so by mine, yeah, so he says, Elmaleh, he comes and he tells him, the Rabbeinu, you taught us, ktav elyon, ktav linyan Shabbat, that the top writing is considered a good ktav on Shabbat. So Elmaleh, he says, says, even if we want to think that it's going to be machmid, we're going to do halacha l'maaseh also to be mekel, meaning to be machmid on Shabbat, to consider it that it's a ktav is one thing, but then to be mekel, that it's considered a ktav to do with the get, that's something completely different. Then we could be machmid, but to start being mekel is something different. Itmari was stated, edim sheni yodim lachtom, if witnesses do not know how to sign. Rav says, mikarein lahen, right, niyar chalak, malim et akraim bedyo. So this is what Rafi, or this is what you said, right? That you're going to be misartet, you're going to make like a sirtut for them with a knife, and then what happens is that they're going to fill it in. Shmuel says ba'avar, you could do it with lead, and then they put it on top of it with ink. So ba'avar, you really think you could do it with lead? Ruchia says it's going to be kosher. So if you signed it, so what does it help now that he's going to sign it with you? So he says la kasha. That's not a question. It all depends with lead or with water of lead, which means the Braita that says it's kosher, it's talking about at the beginning was lead. The kavanah is that they did it with lead, and that's considered how do you call this? A good writing. Okay, but if it's going to be with the actual oferet itself, the lead in itself, right? It's not going to be considered anything because it's not a ktiva gemura, but the water of the lead is. Rabbi Yavu says, "B'mei milim." What is mei milim? It's water that you come and you soak into it like this black thing, and therefore it's going to become the black ink. So I thought that if you write it with this type of things, it's going to be kosher, which means that at the end of the day, it's going to be considered like a good ink. And so the Gemara a question: right? Which means that which Rabbi Yavu says that the get that it's going to be right is ubad v'me'afatzim, which means that they came and they processed it this way. And the other one, the Braita that says it's going to be kosher, is talking about that it wasn't processed. So he says she'en memilin lagabe memilin, because the ktav of me'afatzim is not going to be nikar on klaf that was ubar with memilin. Right? That means it's not, since it's done with the same material, so you can't actually recognize it. It's not going to be good. Papa Amar berok, right? Even with rok, right, which is spit, right, because it's not rishon nikar. I mean, spit will go away after a while. That's no, you should do it berok. Meaning you come, you spit, you put the way that it's supposed to be written with the saliva, and then afterwards you come and you write on top of it. Okay, one of these words only in Gittin. Aval bishtarot, no. But somebody did it on other shtarot, and Rav Kana put him in cherem, which means that he doesn't hold it. You could do such a thing. Okay, you bet 19b. Tanya kaveted Rav. We learned in accordance, a Braita in accordance to Rav. Edim shen yodim lechtom mekarin lehen yar chalak umimem tekarim dio. So therefore, again, witnesses that don't know how to sign, what do? You come and you make the imprint inside of it, and then they come and they fill it in. Those are the words of Rav. Amar b'shmum says of shbag. Hamed one of these words. V'gittin hashim v'shukra avadim v'shakir v'shtarot. Im yodim likro v'lachtom chotmim v'im lama chotmim. Only if they know how to read and sign. If they don't know how to read and sign, nada. Right? It's only by a get that they were lenient. Okay? So says the Gemara, 1 second, but who spoke about reading? Who's speaking about reading? Before we were only talking about chatimot, signing. Who's talking about now if you know how to read or not? So says the Gemara, you're right. Witnesses that don't know how to read, right? They read in front of them, and they sign. If they don't know how to sign, right? One of these words, the Gittin hashim, right? If they know how to read and to sign, they sign, and if not, they do not sign. Rabbi Elazar says, Rabbi Elazar, what's the reason in Rashbag? Shelo yehu benot Israel agunot. that Benot Yisrael should not be an agunot. What does that mean? They shouldn't be agunot. They didn't want to make it that the women will become agunot. So in order to make it easier, that way they could get divorced, they said, you know what? Let's try to make it as easy as possible to get witnesses. Rava. So Rava says, Halacha Rashbag. The Halacha is like Rashbag, that he's machmir in other shtarot, that if they don't know how to sign and read, nothing. Rav Gamna Mishmid Rav Amar, the Halacha is not like Rashbag. So what's Halacha like? Like Rabbanan. Says the Gemara, Rav Kana put him in the cherem. Says no, Tirgama, he says that it's going to be on the cherem on the kriya, which means it's only to do with that they have to actually know how to read. Because the Tanakam and Rashbag were arguing to do with shtarot and two halachot. Number one, if they don't know how to read, right, that they're still allowed to come in to sign. And number two, that if he doesn't know how to sign, they could come and they could do sirtut and all those things. So to do with the first halacha, right, that they have to actually know how to sign, whatever it is, until they know how to read. Rav Gamda was mekel, like the Tanakama that was matir, right? And he comes over here and he says, but Rav Kana says, that is not a kosher witness because he does not know how to read. Rav Yehuda, mitztaer kari v'chatim. When he became elderly, his eyes became weakened, right? So he had to sign different shtarot as an ed. So, right, the question is, right, he was mitzayer et atzmo in order to come to read it first. Elmaleh Ula says, you don't have to. That Rabbi Elazar marad Eretz Yisrael, because Rabbi Elazar, that he's like the master of Eretz Yisrael, karu kameh chatim. He had other people read it for him, and then he actually signed it. Rav Nachman, karu kameh safra dedaine chatim. The Sefer Didaini used to read in front of him, and then he used to come and he used to sign it. So basically, he was saying, listen, the guy became older. Instead of straining his eyes and trying to read it, why? The Davka Rav Nachman, right, the Sefer Didaini, but only Rav Nachman and the Sefer Didaini, the Itle Mata, because he's afraid of him. But Rav Nachman, the Sefer Didaini, but if it's going to be Rav Nachman and any other person, Sefer Didaini or the Sefer Didaini and any other person, no. Which means basically the Sefer Didaini, he was like the maskir, he was like the secretary of the Dayanim. He was afraid that if he's going to lie or say something that wasn't correct, right, he would have his head off. So he was afraid. So he wouldn't mess around. He wouldn't fool around. Understand? Rav Papa, when he used to bring him a Persian document, that was done in the arkaot, right, in the courts, of the secular courts, right, makri lehu shrei kutim. He used to call two different kutim. One of them not in front of the other one, and then magre b'shub there. And then he said, you understand what he did? What he did? There's a secular document coming from court. So what does he do? He calls in one goy, tells him, "Bechavod, I don't understand. What did you understand for this document?" Right? He's not telling him that I'm relying upon you. What did you understand? So the guy comes and he says, "Okay, A, B, C, D." He's writing down A, B, C, D. Okay, very, very good. Okay, thank you very much. Kol tu batzlacha. He leaves. He calls in another goy. He tells him, "What's written in this document?" A, B, C, D. Look to them. If they were equal, right? He comes and says, "Okay, very good." And then he was goveh min nechasim shubadim. That's how he used to do it, in order to make sure that they were telling the truth. Again, he can't tell them that he's relying upon them, because then it's not Masechet Vitumo. Masechet Vitumo means innocently speaking, without realizing that you're relying upon them for psak halacha. Right? And number two, though, but it had to be not in front of each other in two different ones. So Amar Rav Ashi says, Amali Rav Huna ben Natan says, Rav Huna ben Natan, Hachi Amar Mimer, this is what Mimer says, Haishtara Parsa de Chatimi ala Sad Yisrael. This Persian document that the Jews are signed on it, Magbina Mem Shabde. Right, you could actually recollect from it from the Chasim Shubadim, from properties that have a lien on it. So says the Gemara, "V'halo yadamikra." He says, 1 second, but how is he going to be machshid this if he doesn't even know how to read it? And it says, Gemara, no, he knew how to read it. But the other, he knew. So ask the Gemara, you need a document that you cannot forge, and you don't have that over here. And so the Gemara, it was meubad. It was like processed in a certain way that you could tell if it's forged or not. So ask the Gemara, you need that the last line does a summary of the beginning of the document. And says, you did that as well. What's coming to teach you? Anything is going to be kosher. Tanina, we already learned it. Even if the get was written in Hebrew and the signatures in Greek, or the other way around, it's going to be kosher. So it says, if it was only from there, I would have thought to say Anamina Begitin only by a get. No. I would have thought to say in any other document you can't do that. Mashmaran comes teach you, right, that you could do that. Yeah? Amar Shemuel says Shemuel. Natan la niyar chalak ve'amal areze gitech megureshet. Incredible. He gives her a blank piece of paper and he tells her, this is your get. She's divorced. Why? Because we suspect because maybe it was done with memilin. So so they're going to ask the following question. If a person comes and he says, this is your get, and then he comes and he throws it into the river or whatever it is, or into the fire, and then it's going to get lost. Then he says, it wasn't a get, it was shtar pasimu. It was a document, right? Or shtar amanahu. It was another type of, all these types of meguresh. She is meguresh. He can't prohibit her now. Meaning, imagine right now he comes and he says, this is your get. They throw it into the thing. Oh, no, it wasn't your get. What's going to happen? It wasn't a get, not a get.
Who was the idea?
What?
The Mishnah said
Oh, that's what we're going to speak about.
Last thing. His last thing.
That's what we said before, because we said that we're going to suspect that Mimilin wrote it, and therefore we're not going to say that it was going to be done, that it was going to be kasher, right? But then afterwards it disappeared. Meaning when it was written, it was kasher, but then afterwards it got absorbed, right? So he says, Tamadi ktav, only because there's something written there. But if there was nothing written there, I would have thought to say no. Meaning, obviously, if there's something written there, it's much better than if nothing's written. If nothing's written, you're looking at a blank piece of paper, you're going to say it's a get. So he says, Ki Kamar Shmuel, you're right. When does Shmuel say this? About Kinle b'maya denara. They're going to check it, right, in Maya denara, or ipalit, v'lo palit lav klum, which means they're going to check it with a type of a thing, which checks, does it take out, like, the liquid? Meaning they're going to check it with a type of a tseva, that all of a sudden you could see that if there's something else, tainted, like painted inside of it.
It's like if you write with lemon juice.
Yeah, or anything like that.
You put flame on
there, and you could see if it's there or not. So it says the Gemara, it's only coming out now. So it says, you're right. We're suspecting that maybe it's Mugureshet for sure, but it's not 100%. So Amar Ravina says, Amal Yameima told me, Amar Meneimar Mishmed Rav Yedimi, Hani Betre Dev Gita Kamayhu, two witnesses that they come and the husband gives in front of them the get, they have to read it. Meaning, the witnesses have to read it when he's giving over the get. Okay? Until today, that's what they do. They read it before giving it over, and they read it after giving it over. Right? So they come and they ask the following question. And afterwards he says, and then they can't come and they can't prohibit it. Then you're going to tell me that they have to write it, right? They have to read it. After they already read it, can he actually say that? Meaning that if right now the witnesses have to actually come and read it, so after he reads it, now he's going to say, no, it wasn't a get. They read it. They know exactly what it is. What are you talking about? Says when we're talking about after they read it, the husband put it inside of his sharvul, inside of his thing, and he took it out. So I would have thought to say maybe he switched it. Meaning like this. I come, there's two witnesses here. Yeah, I'm a shliach for the husband. I give it to you guys and you guys read it. When you guys finish, I come and I put it over here. And all of a sudden I come and you didn't realize I had two. So all of a sudden, maybe I took out the second one and now I give it to her. But you guys just read it, but I pulled the fast one. Maybe I switched it. Maybe I didn't switch it. How do you know? So I would have thought to say that maybe Bemet you would switch it. We don't suspect that. Saul Gavra, there was a person that threw a get to his wife, right in between the jugs of the house. So she went to get it. And it was a mezuzah. Amar Nachman says mezuzah bebedan. It's not normal. Right? There's going to be a mezuzah there. Like you have to keep a mezuzah. So therefore, even though the husband said that he threw her the get, we're not going to suspect for his words. It was probably the mezuzah. That was a problem. You're not going to find mezuzah between jugs. You understand? So that, and he knows, right? And she knows that he threw it there. Now he went and he said, "This is your get." He throws it. All of a sudden, she comes. She looks in between the jugs. The only thing that she finds is a mezuzah. So she comes. What's this? He threw me a mezuzah. What's going on over here? She's not divorced. Why? He says it's a get. No, it's not normal to have a mezuzah in between the jugs. Okay. But one of these words, tishtaka chada. He only found one. Aval shtayim or shalosh, but if you found 2 or 3 mezuzot, so then yeah, it probably was because he only threw one piece of paper. So the fact that there were other mezuzot there, it could be there were mezuzot, and therefore maybe she's going to be right divorced. I'm not going to say that maybe the get. Why couldn't she find the get? Maybe because the mice took it. Yeah, there was probably a mouse around. He took it and he ran off. and the other 3 were mezuzot. A mezuzah is not going to. The mice is not going to take a mezuzah. Maybe he'll take a get. Yeah, maybe he'll take a get. He's not going to take a mezuzah. Mezuzah is something kadosh. Yeah. Ha'u gavra da'al v'knisha. There was a person that came to the Bet Knesset. Shakal sefer Torah. He took a sefer Torah. And he gave it to his wife. This is your get. No, he took the entire sefer Torah. He gave it to the wife. He says, "This is your get." Amarav says, "What are you going to suspect? If we're going to say there's memilin there, it doesn't make sense. You can't put memilin on memilin, so it's not going to be considered a ktab. You're going to say sefer Torah, sefer kritut. Yes, to write a lishma. Here, there's nothing going to be lishma. So for obviously, there's nothing really what to do. And then we're going to speak about other things as well, about what are we going to suspect or not going to suspect.